Welcome back to Fox News Sunday, the state of AI. Well, the growing technology has major implications for democracy, national security, and education. Former Secretary of State Condoleezza Rice has been tracking the rapid advancements. Rice is the current director of the Hoover Institution, a think tank located on the campus of Stanford University. She also co-chairs the Stanford Emerging Technology Review. We sat down with her there in Palo Alto, California, to get her view from the forefront.
I'm here at Stanford University, and this is really the kind of epicenter of this technological revolution. Universities like this, the private sector that is here, and I think in that is the point, which is that America remains the most creative and innovative country on the face of the earth, largely because of the activities of the private sector. But even the people who are at the frontiers of AI don't know where it's going. And they would be the first to tell you that there are discoveries that, in fact, shock them. When you think about the fact if we were sitting here 2 years ago, we wouldn't have been talking about generative AI. And so it's an exciting new world out there.
It is, and everybody's talking about where the guardrails come in. And from the issue of national security as well, there's a lot of open source on AI. And so China, among others, they're leveraging that. How much do you think about this in terms of a national security issue?
My answer to the national security issue is to run hard and fast. We simply have to win what is now the most important technological arms race in, I think, maybe human history, given what AI could do. In China, if you look at how they handled COVID, simply covering things up, I don't want any strategic surprises out of an autocracy. And so while I understand that people are concerned about guardrails, what should we not want AI to do? My prescription is let's just run really fast and really hard.
There seems to be a lot of bipartisan conversation about what to do and where to go. Nothing's really moved ahead legislatively. But do you think at some point it's going to be up to Washington to work with these private entities and figure out where we go?
You don't want to start regulating and making laws about something that you don't understand. And so the conversation between the creators, the private sector that is really the driving force behind these technological breakthroughs, it really does have to be a conversation. And right now, they're beginning to speak the same language, but they're not quite there yet.
Many of these same people believe that if they succeed in building computers that are as smart as humans, or perhaps far smarter than humans, that technology will be, at a minimum, extraordinarily disruptive, and at a maximum could lead to literal human extinction.
I think a lot of people have this misconception that it's a bunch of evil robots that will become sentient, that will take over, that are going to destroy humanity.
I think people tend always to go to the dark side. What are the downsides? What are the dangers? I understand the killer robot. I have a friend who works kind of in this area, and his view is, well, you know, you don't have to give the AI a body. You don't have to put it in a robot, and then the robot becomes somehow generally intelligent. So I know that the thing that gives me comfort is that a lot of the people that you talk to who are at the leading edge, at the frontiers, want to be responsible with what they're doing. They don't want to threaten humanity or threaten society. And so I think this is an open field for conversation for what good regulation might look like.
What role do you think there is for educational institutions, for the government in development?
Right now, the government, I think, would be best to worry about some of the things like the big infrastructure questions. What are we going to do about a grid that really can't handle everything that we need? Microsoft has famously now gone and bought 3 Mile Island because they need the power. Is that really the answer that we want? What are we going to do if the power generation is taking place, for instance, in the Middle East, where countries are making a bid to be the supplier? So I would say to government, worry about the infrastructure. Worry about making sure that we have the talent to do this. The people who want to come here from all over the world with the smartest people with engineering degrees, and they want to be a part of this, we have to recruit the best talent. And then universities are places of unfettered discovery in the sciences and engineering. And so you say to universities, what the government has done for many, many years, we're going to fund fundamental research. We don't know where it's going. We don't know if it's commercializable. But those labs at places like Stanford or MIT or University of Texas are places where people just get up and they ask interesting questions and they try to answer them. I think that our great fortune is that we have great strengths across the innovation ecosystem. We have distributed innovation. One of the things that I think the Chinese may do badly is that they may try to control everything from the center. And one thing that we have going for us is that somebody, someplace in a garage, may actually discover something that's quite remarkable.
And I find so many people who are doing the work here in the U.S., they're doing it for joy and love of these discoveries and the fascination they have with this technology and where it could potentially take us. But in that, too, a lot of this, as we discussed earlier, is open source. They want other people to be able to benefit from these discoveries, but sometimes those aren't people that share our values.
Well, it's very hard to really contain knowledge. You can contain, as we're trying to do, the chip, the NVIDIA chip, that makes it possible to do some certain kinds of generative AI. That you can do for a while. But eventually, a society or a country like China that has as much engineering talent as it has will also figure out that problem. But eventually, people are going to figure it out. And so you just have to keep ahead of them.
Mm-hmm. You're here at Stanford, a long history of leadership here. It's an academic setting, and there have been a lot of conversations about AI in that setting, with term papers, with research, with students, with professors. How do you manage that part of the equation?
We are having such an interesting but difficult conversation about what to do about AI-aided learning and production. And so everybody's using ChatGPT now for kind of basic functions. But I would like to convince my students that using a chatbot for learning has its downsides, because did you ever actually really learn the material? Can you go 1 inch deeper than what that essay says? Well, we've had this problem for some time, Shannon. So some of my students think if they've Googled it, they've researched it. Mm-hmm. And I constantly say to them, you know, there's this thing called depth in anything. And so don't just take the first answer. Let's really try to think this through. So it's going to be a challenge to our norms. It's going to be a challenge to our processes. But we can't go back. We have to recognize that our students are going to be using it. We just have to figure out how it doesn't abbreviate in ways that are harmful to the learning process.
You seem to be generally optimistic and hopeful about artificial intelligence. What's your feeling moving forward?
I'm generally an optimist always, but I'm particularly optimistic about the technological frontiers. I recognize the downsides. For instance, one of the things where people worry a lot about is kind of AI deepfakes. But I know how hard the AI scientists, the engineers, are working to try to deal with ways to show that it's a deepfake. So they're not unaware of the downsides. They don't want to be on the wrong side of history.
Well, we know a lot of that innovation comes through right here at Stanford, so thank you for making time for us. Appreciate it.
Great pleasure.
Click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You won't get it anywhere else.